purchased this DX100 back in my late teens from a pawn shop for the princely sum of $50. Up to this point, I'd been using a National Panasonic GX300, which was a great shortwave radio, but lacked the BFO feature that the DX100 had. I'd become curious about the sideband and CW signals I kept encountering around the dial, and wanted to delve deeper into the mystery of radio. It wasn't long before the poor frequency stability of this radio became apparent, and it was common knowledge that these radios featured a transistor which had absolutely no thermal assistance whatsoever. So a small aluminium clip sink was fashioned and installed with thermal paste on this transistor. This modification did help somewhat, but did not entirely clear up the problem. Any additional mass was going to place undue strain on the PCB traces, so the transistor was eventually mounted on a remote heatsink elsewhere in the radio. This one single modification made the radio finally usable for chasing those sideband and CW signals. Later capacitors were also changed, as the originals had somewhat aged since manufacture. The next major modification was adding an LED backlight to the fine-tuning dial, as this radio was mostly operated at night. This increased the radio's usability further still. The power for the LED was sourced from the rear of the main PCB. The last experimental modification was a hit-and-miss affair, where I'd noticed hand capacitance near a certain region of the main PCB increased the receiver's volume and sensitivity, so a switchable 473K capacitor was added for further evaluation. Across the 2 points of the circuit I'd noticed this phenomenon. It was later established that I'd effectively been bypassing a 100K resistor and feeding 1.3 volts into the next stage of the circuit, and I later removed this modification anyway. In the interest of antenna flexibility, an SO239 socket was added to the rear of the radio, though to be honest, to have a true 50 ohm input you would require a matching device in line. The radio also required to be restrung, as the cordage and assembly had worn out over time. Thanks to the internet, the materials required and the process to be followed were easily sourced.
Get the bouncing ball and he's drawn down. It is splendid tackle by Simon. Much a no-no. Because Isaac Smith snatches the loose ball and snaps it through. Hawthorn by 15 points. 38 tourists were killed, most of them British. Exactly a week on, a minute's silence is observed in both Britain and Tunisia. Dignitaries gathered for a ceremony at the scene of the killings in the city of Sousse. And in London, flags flew at half-mast over Buckingham Palace and government ministries. Share prices in China have continued their dramatic fall despite government efforts to shore up the market over recent